Have you ever wondered why the Japanese live better than we do? The secret of their success is not just economics or technology. They are ahead of the rest of us in very unexpected, but very important aspects of life that we sometimes don't even think about. We will talk about what makes their lives better and what we can learn from them. What is the most important thing for each of us? Well, it is probably life expectancy, and health directly depends on it. A person must stay healthy. What we eat is very important. In Japan, you can go to any supermarket and you won't see expired products anywhere. Everything will be the freshest. The Japanese understand this important aspect of life, how important it is what you eat, and that the quality of food is the best. And what do our people do very often and to our great regret? Somewhere they re-glue price tags, somewhere they refreeze products. Is there any way to fight this? Of course you can, but everyone turns a blind eye to it. And if I'm talking about life expectancy, I am madly amused and pleased by what I see outside my window on weekends. On weekends, for example, our people prefer to rest, and I myself am like that. I also want to sleep and rest. But what do I always see outside the window? At 5 to 6 in the morning I get up to drink water, and I notice how pensioners are actively engaged in various sports. Cycling, running, practicing different kinds of martial arts. They watch their health, eat right, and they are always active in sports, right up to 70 to 80 years old. You know, I've been going to stretching for a while and I've seen that older people are very flexible. I watched them stretch, and sometimes I was ashamed that I couldn't do something and they were so flexible. You know, it's great, and it's worthy of praise and respect. I'm not in Japan right now, and what immediately strikes me in contrast is that we rent an apartment in a new building, and there are still noisy construction works going on. I work remotely and I can hear this drill in my ears all day long. And after 2.5 years of living in Japan, when you don't know what noise is at all, here you can hear everything so much. It's very loud. I asked an acquaintance who's in Japan right now who's in the process of changing homes. I asked her if she would buy a pre-owned apartment or new. She said new, and I immediately asked her if she would have time to renovate. And she laughed at me, and it turned out that in Japan buying an apartment is not like in our country. When we rent a new house, you hear all the charms of repair and your own and neighbors. In Japan, there is no such thing. Here they give the apartment already with pasted wallpaper, with finishing, and even the floor and doors in place. But because of this, approximately all apartments with almost the same wallpaper and doors. And the owners are already just doing quiet design, and all the noisy work is behind them. Everyone is settling in and not disturbing each other. You know, on the one hand it's good, but on the other hand, okay, you can paste wallpaper without noise if they did not like. But if, for example, you want to fill a shelf, then everything is not so simple. I learned this moment because I was wondering how it happens. If suddenly you really need to hammer a nail in a Japanese apartment, then do not think that everything is so simple. To do this, you need to take permission from the management of the house, as well as pass all the neighbors and take also written permission that no one is not against it. And if you do get all these permits, then you are allocated literally a few hours when you can carry out these noisy works. It's not like in my country, that neighbors drill something from morning till evening, even on weekends. Therefore, renting or buying housing in Japan, you can always be sure that no one will not disturb you with any noisy works. No one is disturbing anyone anywhere because everyone is very respectful and appreciative of each other's personal boundaries. And so when you leave Japan, you immediately feel this contrast. In Japan you get used to silence everywhere, and you try to observe it absolutely everywhere. But abroad, everything is different. And here's an interesting fact. When there is some kind of construction, noise meters are installed everywhere. There is always a certain boundary beyond which the noise level must not be exceeded. Workers control the traffic so that no one is traumatized by this construction. Well, of course, everything there is as safe as possible. It's all covered with awnings. There are people standing there, controlling everything, and also the noise level, which is constantly monitored. Employees control that the noise level does not exceed the prescribed limits. Here it is taken into account so as not to disturb anyone. And you know, when you really walk through our countries, you hear construction and it is powerful. And in Japan you walk and everything is really as quiet as possible. You know, what really surprises me sincerely is the roadworks. Let's remember how roadworks are carried out in our countries. It has to be rush hour, when there is just a mass of cars, when people are in a hurry to get somewhere, and it can take months to repair it. But the Japanese have come up with the idea to carry out road works at night. It amazes me as much as possible, because there are very few cars at night. For the Japanese it is important that even night work is not too noisy. They put up special noise-reducing screens or temporary partitions to reduce noise, especially if the work is near residential areas. If a road surface needs to be replaced on a busy street, the work can be completed literally overnight and the road section will be accessible again in the morning. Temporary signs are always erected at the work site, but there are also flaggers on site to help drivers navigate the road being repaired. Before the Olympic Games in 2020 in Tokyo, the authorities carried out extensive road repairs. In order to avoid inconvenience to citizens and tourists, most of the work was carried out at night, and by morning all the sections were cleared. I also wanted to talk to you about Japanese cohesion and trust. Japanese society is based on collectivism, when the interests of a group of people are put before their own interests. For example, if you work in a collective, you should keep your opinion to yourself, because it is important for the whole collective to come to a common decision so that everyone agrees. If we value individualism, when everyone's opinion is very important, then the Japanese are brought up from kindergarten and school that you are a part of a common collective, and a common collective cannot be such that one person pulls everyone. Here the whole collective works as a single organism. Employees all have to come to a common decision before they go to the boss to talk about it. Do you know how many times I've observed this situation? Pretty much every time. For example, I wanted to buy my child a watch from which to make calls. I went to the store and asked if it would work overseas, and the employee immediately ran somewhere to get the instructions. And also, of course, the opinion of the team is important. I saw how this employee ran, got the manual, called more colleagues who were nearby. And only when they all come to a common decision whether the watch will work, only then he comes back to me with an answer. Because of this, by the way, many questions are solved rather slowly, but for sure. Wherever I go, I already know ahead of time that there will be a collective meeting on my issue. Students work in groups, help each other with their studies and participate in school activities such as cleaning the classroom or sports competitions. Each student realizes that his or her responsibilities are not only his or her own, but also a contribution to society. This teaches children from an early age to care not only for themselves but also for their loved ones. It was a big surprise for me when my son Sasha came to school for the first time, and as if naturally without knowing the language. But he was immediately helped to fit in as friendly as possible, because everyone felt the responsibility that they were contributing to the common cause for the development of their collective. Sasha told me that one girl helped him to understand where to put his school supplies, and she eventually arranged them for him the way the Japanese do. Then, when they distribute the food to each other at lunchtime, again, it's a team, everyone feels responsible. Some people help to arrange the utensils, some help to arrange the plates. Then there is a general cleaning of the area and the room. It is very unifying for the team, and everyone feels their importance and significance, so that the team is united, so that there are no conflicts, disagreements. Everyone works as a single organism. With the Japanese, everything is built on trust. You know how many times I have seen vegetable stands where there are no sellers. For example, there are just vegetables in boxes, and there is a price tag on them, and next to them is a jar where you have to put money. Everything is built on trust. You take one apple or banana and pay the amount that is written there. No one controls you, no one will count it. Imagine the level of trust that you can leave it like that, and everyone knows that no one will cheat each other. Also, by the way, it's very important that the Japanese believe their government. All campaign promises made by candidates who are elected are sure to be fulfilled. One of Japan's former prime ministers, Yukio Hatoyama, resigned after failing to fulfill one of his key campaign promises. In 2021, there was a scandal involving the economy minister. He left his post after failing to meet his targets. During natural disasters, all residents of the country unite and help each other. For example, after some regular disasters, the authorities turn to the residents and ask them to save electricity. And everyone without exception will fulfill the government's request, because they all understand how important it is at the moment. In Japan, observance of laws is not just a formality, but a part of everyday life, and this is probably what makes life here more convenient and comfortable than in Europe or post-Soviet countries. Here everyone understands the level of responsibility, and here even if someone breaks a traffic rule, for example, he knows that he will receive not only a fine, but also the condemnation of society. This level of condemnation is very important for the Japanese, because first of all you have to not fall down in the mud. People do not want to get condemnation. The fine is not so terrible as the condemnation, so everyone is very observant of all the rules and laws. For example, everyone knows that in Japan you have to sort the garbage correctly, and here people are very often afraid to sort something incorrectly, because they are afraid of being judged by their neighbors. If someone finds out that you've been sorting your trash incorrectly, it will cause judgment, and that's unacceptable in Japanese society. You know, I once read this information that once someone threw a mercury thermometer into some kind of waste, and then it was discovered and the whole neighborhood was punished. I don't remember exactly how long, but for 2 weeks or a month, they didn't pick up the garbage from that neighborhood. The Japanese practically don't break the rules at all. A lot of people ask me why Japan is such a perfect country. It's because everyone lives by the rules. Here, the more laws, the more restrictions, the more comfortable it is to live. If we take other countries as an example, where there is such permissiveness, it is very scary to walk on the streets because of permissiveness. And even a vivid example is that in a cafe or in public transportation, people can accidentally forget their phones, wallets, and they are not only not stolen, but also brought to the lost and found office. After that, you can go to the nearest, for example, police station, and they will look for your thing, and with a high probability they will find it. And if it is, for example, a purse with money, then surely the whole amount will be there. No one there will even think of taking it away. They do not have a function in their brain that it is possible to rob a person. You know, I wanted to emphasize in a separate paragraph how the Japanese take care of their elderly residents. And for the first time, by the way, I felt it when I came to Japan for the second time. The first time I came to Japan as a tourist was more than 10 years ago. Then years later I came again, but already with a small child, with Sasha in a stroller. And you know, when you are traveling without children, it is a completely different level of travel than when you are traveling with a child in a stroller. When, for example, you get off the subway and you have to get upstairs somehow, and there are steps ahead of you. But in Japan there are elevators everywhere, there are ramps everywhere. Everything is very well thought out for people with disabilities too. If, for example, a person is in a wheelchair, there is always an employee at every subway station who will help the person just to get to the car. He will bring him a special ramp, which will help him get into the subway car, and then by radio will tell another employee at the desired station that they're in the same way to escort the person. I have also read a lot that there are special services that come to the home of an elderly person and can cook something, clean, help with something. It seems on the verge of fantasy, but when you see it in person, you are amazed. I have seen many times in our house and in the neighbor's house how social workers come and bring, for example, a whole bathtub. A bathtub, which, I understand, is specially designed for people who are lying down. You know, as if looking at this, you think, why can't we organize the same thing in other countries? Because, unfortunately, everywhere there are people who need help, who need this help, and I am very happy that at least in Japan they have thought about it, and I think we can also think about it in every country and take care of our people. Friends, thank you very much for watching this video and for watching it to the end. Write in the comments what surprised you, what you learned new, and what you think about this topic, because I think I've shared a lot of my thoughts and reflections, so please share what you think too. Thank you all so much for watching, like, subscribe to the channel, and see you in new videos. Bye!